Now, when I reflect on the current position that Canadian provinces find themselves in with COVID-19, particularly Ontario and Quebec being under lockdown, one perspective, one thought that keeps coming to mind is that it's embarrassing. I think it's unjustified, which it is. I think these should end right now. We should not be in these lockdown restrictions, which I do think. But I also just think when I compare to how we're doing things in Ontario, where I'm based, to how they're doing things in all these other jurisdictions around the world, it really is just very embarrassing how we're handling ourselves in Ontario, and to realize that we are in this position once again. I was watching a Leafs game on television the other night, Toronto Maple Leafs against St. Louis Blues in Missouri, in St. Louis, Missouri. And you're watching there in the stadium, and it's a packed stadium. People are there. They're in Missouri. They're having a good time. There's some people wearing masks, as I guess they want to. Many other people not wearing masks, and that's just what they're doing. And it's fine. Here in Canada, if it had been a home game for the Leafs, well, it wouldn't have been happening because those things are banned now. Yes, we had Leafs games for a bit, and then the government said, no, we got to bring it to 50% capacity. We got to cap it at this, cap it at that. And then they just said, no, we got to shut the whole thing down. No Leafs games allowed in Canada. No spectators allowed. You can't have the ticketed events. And there was a time not too long ago when you would watch professional sports on television in the US and you'd say, oh, well, why can't we do that? We should be able to do that. And it wasn't yet allowed. And then we opened up to it and we were doing it. And many people attended the sports events and it worked out just fine. It was fine to do it, we learned. Now, it's not so much that you look to the US and you say, oh, well, why can't we do that? Well, we know we can. We have. Since COVID, we've reopened all those sporting events. Now, to see that they're shut down here and to see that they're doing it over there, again, it's just embarrassing. It's just humiliating. It's like if you were down there for whatever reason and you're at a sporting event, you wouldn't dare say, oh, we're not even allowed to have them here. And if we had them here, we'd have to be double masked and what have you. There was another policy they introduced, actually forbid in Ontario, when the movie theaters were open and when sporting events were open. No alcohol sales, no beverage sales, no popcorn sales, no hot dog sales, because then, well, it's going to lead to people taking off the masks. It's going to lead to them eating the food. And you're like, this is so, it is so embarrassing just to see the disconnect between these jurisdictions. The fact that there are governors south of the border who, Democratic, Republican, you can't play politics on this. It's all across the board. There's far left-wing politicians who are embracing being reopened there in the United States. That they are forging ahead in a different direction, and we are not. It's like I've used this analogy before, down in the United States, they look for reasons to reopen, and they look for a positive path forward. Here in Canada, in Ontario and Quebec, people are looking for reasons to want to stay locked down. They're looking for reasons to bring in more restrictions. They see something that can be made into bad news, and they chase after it, and they want to be able to expand just how bad the news is. They don't want to look for the positive pathway forward. And I'm at the point where it's not even about having this sort of rational discussions and looking at the facts and the evidence, because we've been doing that, and that clearly hasn't worked and clearly hasn't enabled us to live in a more productive way. Right now, it's just flat out embarrassing. That's what it is, and it's unbelievable that they're doing these things just on the other side of the border, and it's working out okay for them. They're managing it. Here, we just can't allow ourselves to do that. Very frustrating.